Alright everyone, Supreme Kami over here, and today we are going to be taking a look at the newest challenge over here. So we got a challenge from Gorgeous Video over here. So they made a very difficult event over here. So this one is rated at a new type. So in terms of approximate combat power that they want us to be using, it's actually 5 million. I think 5 million is actually a little bit underrated. I think you actually need more. I don't know, because in terms of the build that I went for, it's actually not going to be like your free-to-play version, just because of what the enemy is doing to you at the battle. I'm just like, I can't. I'm just taking way too much damage. I'm not able to kind of clock in the damage I needed in order to kind of beat that. So I'll definitely give you guys a few pointers in terms of my finding, and then just hearing from everyone that they have beat. So this is going to be my overall squad, so we'll dive down just in a bit as I do talk about the mode that we are facing off against right here. So in terms of the mode that we are targeting is two very, just very blunt, very bad mode right here. So we got a Aznable plus a skill hack mode. So just judging by the name, you guys are pretty much familiar with them. So in terms of acid, you are going to be taking 1000 armor less, or basically you take damage per every seconds. So I will have to say, if you want to complete within 60 seconds, at least have your build to have maybe 61,000 HP, then you should be able to bypass that no problem. Given the fact that you won't take damage though, that is also going to be another factor. If you do take damage, you gotta, yeah, that's gonna be rough, so you gotta actually bring some healers. So that's that. In terms of the skill hack mode, so that basically means you can't really use the EX skill, but we actually do have a counterpart to that. So we will talk about what kind of EX skill that can bypass that. So what they want us to do, like just reading by the instruction, basically use like normal shooting and then normal melee attack to deal that damage. But obviously, given the enemy that we are facing up, they are gonna hit hard and they don't care. they're just gonna steamroll you. So in terms of the build that we went for, so we went for 3 different types of build foundation. My main, the one that is cell, that is gonna be, I have portrait that is revolving around EX skill piercing. So finally those piercing EX skill are finally coming in clutch in terms of those specific portrait. The ally one, I have a full debuff, so I want to be able to nullify some damage taken from me so I don't die on the spot. And then lastly, at least, we have a full buff build. So this is roughly about, I don't know, just giving myself a lot of, boosting, so to negate that skill hack mode right there. So let's kind of talk about the build. So don't be surprised if I'm using a lot of Zoka parts, because this is mainly not using free to play, because it's impossible. It's just not gonna work. So this is simply going to be giving you guys some kind of insight, like what you guys should be using. So first things first, in terms of my first build right here, why I have the GN Feather Dust, because you guys see this unit right here, you see this one right here, hold up, let me show you guys what we're going to face off against. You see, okay, this are below, so alright, this is taking a long time here. You see this unit right here, you see the Quibbly, they're actually using the pressure. So if you're planning to use any magazine type EXQ, or just any cooldown, let's say you have like 100% cooldown build, that is gonna block you right on the spot. So that's why we are bringing the GN Feather Dust to negate or completely remove any debuffing I have right here. So erase debuff effects on all Gunpla. So that is a mandatory. I will have to say that is definitely mandatory, because in terms of the second wave, we also do have another one of these guys right here, so definitely don't want that to happen. Alright, so a mandatory I gotta say is definitely gonna be a rolling buster. So that is gonna be all your wings zeros, like just basically any of them that has this one up here. Reason being why we're using this one, simply the fact that this is a very good AoE attacker, and this one, if you guys see the piercing, it's a rated A. So this right here will allow you to just bypass their defensive, given the fact that you have some piercing portrait. Now last but not least, we also do have the infamous Axle right here. So this one is I wouldn't say you must have it. So if you are able to build a good foundation, build whatsoever with a good, let's say, piercing boosting, and you're able to make that into like a 100% cooldown, you can simply 100% cooldown your rolling buster and just use that throughout the waves. So I would say Axle is definitely like a very luxurious item to be having. If you don't have it, you don't really need it. I will have to say, if you just have rolling buster, you should be fine. But let's kind of go over some portrait that we need. So portrait that we need is they're actually free to play. not gonna lie, those are definitely some free-to-play part that we're looking at. So because I am using attack attribute, so that's why I'm targeting this type of specific part. There are so many piercing boosting, or just piercing boosting. So don't be surprised if I'm using this one, not some other ones over here. So I'm not gonna go too much in detail of like why I'm picking these 7 star parts. Purely, you guys pretty much know why. Just simply for the stat that is given. So first things first, we are going to be targeting the Gundam Perfect Strike Freedom. So this one's going to be giving me a 28% EXQ piercing boost right there. So that is a very good starting number right there. So moving on, we have ourselves. I don't even know what. Okay, so this one is actually from your Wing series over here. This little fella over here. This one is also a welfare part. So this one's giving me the technique attribute EXQ piercing boosted 22%. So right now, we are already up to 50%, so that's actually really good already. So that's good. Up next, where else do we have it? Up next is actually going to be another free-to-play part. So this one is going to be your Blazing Gundam. So that is going to be another one, your Battle Lock free-to-play version of it. So this one is also going to be giving me another 28% power or just piercing boost. So right now we should be up to 78%. So that's good. And then last but not least, we have ourselves a this guy right here. So this one is actually another warfare pilot up here. So this one is the one that you would get from the Super Zaku F2000, something like that. So this one, when you have melee, that is over 1,000, piercing boosted by 22%. So right now we are up to, I think it's exactly 100%. Actually, yeah, that's it. So yeah, that is pretty much all you need. So I have 100% piercing, so that should be that would allow me to just break through any defensive wall. So and then all these supporting trait, we just have some good old regular power boosting, shooting power boosting, and etc. and etc. So I mean, that's pretty much what makes up in terms of your piercing boosters. So let me just say pierce boost. Okay, there. Alright, so this is going to be a piercing boosting build right here. So up next, we also do have a debuffing build over here. So in terms of the EX skill that I have used for my debuffing, it's actually going to be the Psycom Jagd right here. So this one is a standard part that we actually have the gunpla fragment for like a while ago. So I'm pretty sure that was a part that I have recommended to you guys as well. So this one is simply reducing melee and shot of our enemy by 22%, but we also do have some debuffing effects up, so don't worry about that. So 22% is a pretty good starting point. Up next, we do have Rolling Buster, just for a insurance right there. And then up next, we do have a Snipe Hack right there. So I believe there are a lot of shooting going on, so that's why I do want to further reduce my enemy shot attack. But I do believe in terms of actually debuffing, you can only go down to 100% debuffing, so you can't get past anything 100%. So I'm just having this for the extra insurance right there as well. Alright, some of the portrait that I have involved myself using in terms of debuff is actually some event parts, 2-star parts and whatsoever. I think this one right here. We got the Char's Aznable Zaku 2. So this one is giving me when armor is 60% or more. Debuff EXQ effects up by 15%. So I have that 21% Psycom Jagd, so add that 50% on top of that. So we're roughly about, what, 36%? Alright, it's not bad. Up next, we are going to be using the O. So this one is going to be summonable parts. So this one, when I do have Ace Azusa active, debuff effects up by 25%. So I'm pretty straightforward right there. And then up next, where else do I have? Oh, it's going to be this one. So this week we actually do have the dot again, that is going to be from Dark Out. So this one is going to be very handy. This one is giving up to 30% already debuff effects up, so gotta have that for sure. Alright, and then we have this one over here. This shield is actually one of the older arena event exchange right there. So this one's giving me a 15%, so that is a fairly sizable effect right there. And then last but not least, we also do have a 2-star pilot, or no, this one is actually a 3-star pilot, Heine Westenfluss over here. So this one, when I have speed attribute, debuff up by 10%, so obviously not at max out, so this one should still provide a good coverage for sure. So that is going to be pretty much it in terms of my debuffing build. And then in terms of the actual build itself, obviously I just went for a little bit more power boosting on all, so you guys can see that they're mainly for like the stat support. They're not really like this one over here, definitely have to have that. And then likewise over here, I simply slap on something that will potentially give me a little bit more power boosting. back portion of it, I didn't really care too much about that because this one is, like I said again, is purely for the supporting role. So I don't really mind like having like the ultimate power boosting trait whatsoever. This one is simply providing some, EXQ initial charge, so I kind of need that for sure. Does have a long shooter for sure, so that's good. And then this one just purely having it as a slip slot in the front, just, basically just to cover up the ward tag that is needed right there. So that's it gonna be for the debuffing build. And then in terms of the overall max buff build over here, so I actually do have a lot. So the buff build that I actually have in terms of EXQ that we are going for is actually going to be some offensive. This one is, I believe, is Gamma, the wild similar there. So this one is simply raising shot attack up, melee and shot attack of your squad by 45%. This one's going to be the beta version, so this one is simply to re-ally melee and shot up by 38%. Last but not least, we also do have a non-alterated version, the beta version as well. So keep that in mind, you can run multiple of them. You can run 2 of the same pairing if one is alterated and one is unalterated, so that's why I am able to run them together. Right, so let's kind of go over in terms of what kind of buff effects I use in this one. And keep that in mind, in terms of the overall build, why I use the part I use right here is simply for the fact that to match the word type that I have, and just, some of the part that is already given to that. So we are going to be targeting the Gundam Kimaris Vidar right there, so this one is giving me the buff EXQ up by 30%. And then we are also going to be using a Judge Arche Gundam armor there, so this one's 29%, pretty good. And then moving on to the backpack, we have the Gundam Groundsel over here, so giving another 20%. Up next, we are going to be moving on to the GM Buster Sword 3, I believe this is what it's called, or just simply, oh yeah, Buster Sword 3, and this one is going to be providing another 29%. So this is definitely overkilling, I would have to say, but generally speaking, this is what we'll have to kind of measure. Like if you're looking at what kind of roster we're looking at, like I definitely want to go and ham instead of like going like bare minimum, I would say. And then up next we do have the twin what is this, the twin hyper mega launcher. So this one is going to be from your A to Z. So simply ignore the first part tree, we're not really using that, we're simply targeting the buff EXQ effects, so that's that. And then up next we do have the infamous the Castle Shield. This is purely 30% of swole when buffed, so not bad. Last but not least, we do have the 4 Masumari, that's how you pronounce the name. This one is giving me a 15% as well. So overall, this buff build is going to be providing me a lot of support there. So I will have to say, give or take, roughly about 500% just purely from activating these right here and stacking all these 3 times in a row. So that's gonna be pretty much it. So all the explaining that I can in terms of the build that I want, or just more like what I use in the build. So piercing, boosting, debuffing, and then just a regular buff build, debuff build, debuff and buff build. So that's it for the the roster I have. So let me actually do take on right now. So in terms of actually take on the match, it's probably going to take less than 1 minute. I will have to say it's simply the explaining part of what I use is probably going to be the most difficult. So without any further ado, let me hop in now and see how it goes. Alright, so let's see. I don't even know if I need to wait for any buff support. Like I can just kind of hop in right now, activate this real quick. Let me just kind of charge in. I just want to see if this actually, oh my gosh. So I should have actually waited for the buffs. Whoops. I'd be back. I should actually wait for a little bit of buffs because you guys can see that is actually a very good example. You guys can see having 100% EXQ piercing actually does help because I was not receiving any support from my buff build yet. So we're just gonna hop back in one more time. So this time around, I'll actually wait just a little bit. I just want to be cautious about moving in because like you guys can see that it is actually doing damage, but it's not quite as hot as I want it to be. So I'll wait for the buff to activate, maybe 1 or 2 activate first, and then I'll use the rolling buster, and I think that should be GG for the first wave, you guys. So you guys can definitely see that there are a lot of action going on already from the enemy side, so it's not the best. If you're gonna roll in with builds that are not prepared yet, you guys will get decimated on the spot. So I'm gonna chill back in right here a little bit. So primarily speaking, I do want to wait for some buffs to kind of roll in if possible. So one went in actually, so that's good. So activate this right here and let's see. My gosh, and are we done? Oh my gosh, and I still have Axel. Okay, all right, so I guess that's GG guys. So I think I should be able to cover the whole map potentially, right? Let's see. Oh no. Alright. Okay, we are done. And that's it, guys. So this is how you kind of beat the new gorgeous video events over here. Obviously speaking, this is not an easy task to beat because like all the parts that I have used is limited parts. So I will have to say this is definitely a good blueprint for you guys in terms of what you guys need to target on. So those are gonna be the 3 specific builds that I will have to say that are going to be very effective. So a piercing this maybe over 100% piercing EXQ is going to work. You need some debuffing, and then you're also going to need some buff as well. So that is going to be the general guideline in terms of how I will beat this event. I will try to see if I can think of something revolving around those and then implement that into like a free-to-play version. But I don't even think there's that much. Like obviously I will have to use rolling buster, so that is definitely a no already. So I don't think there's any other like that is covering that much. Like we could, let's say, use the atomic bomb from the GP02, but that rush is not really that effective, and I will have to use it as a CD reduction type build, which is not effective. Even let's say the Groundsel torso is just not gonna output as much. So, but with that being said, that's gonna be pretty much it in terms of the new gorgeous media event over here, and then I'll catch you guys all on the next one.